This show is moving real fast. I lost track of what segment we're in, what we're doing, how much sports have we talked today, how much have we just around with Mission Control, and then I realized that I mostly zoomed by the fact that Quinn Snyder is not just a man who looks like he calls Batman the Batman. He's the guy who deserves his own top 5 looks likes.
This is exciting. Is this your first top 5?
I think it is. Can we try it? The top 5 looks
he did
likes?
top 5 moments that he was participating in at the Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. That's right. OLI, there was a time me, Dan, and Poppy judged a beauty contest.
That was like 4 days ago. How'd you forget that already?
It's been a long week, man. It's been a long week.
I forget every show right after it tapes, actually.
Top 5 Quinn Snyder looks likes. Number 5. Quinn Snyder looks like the prisoner who, despite his beauty and slender build, is never trifled with by the other inmates.
Can we just really quick, because I don't know that this is going to come up again, and I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting to do this. That's why I'm eating a Dorito. Did you find out that R. Kelly is performing concerts in prison? Like he's holding concerts for people, for the other inmates.
Is he charging? Like cigarettes?
We're trying to figure that out.
He has been charged.
He gets a microphone, or is he doing this a cappella?
It might be a cappella, just like choir style. We don't know for sure.
It looked like there were hundreds of people.
Like hundreds of inmates.
I think you need a microphone.
But like,
that many
and
people.
on a stage, and it looks like he's wearing orange, as if it was an orange jumpsuit, but it is most definitely not the orange jumpsuit from prison. Like, it is an outfit that has been made for him that is the same color in orange.
Is he doing it to make money for the warden, like a Shawshank Redemption thing?
Whatever it is, I don't like it. So he's pleather. I never seen a pleather orange jumpsuit. Like, get him out of here, warden. Lock it. Send him back downstairs, sir, please.
It's obviously something we should be talking about, but I love that Billy felt like it needed to be sandwiched in between 5 and 4. Like, it's like we can't do this after this is top
prisoner.
5. It's like,
Chris,
I need to say this right now.
It struck him because he was thinking Hugh Jackman and The Prisoner, but then thought Prisoner
No,
and then
I
went
think-
to R.
I think
He
Kelly.
mentioned
Yes,
inmates,
Billy
and we're
was-
not going to get back to inmates.
And he did this while eating a Dorito.
An orange one.
An orange one. Number 4. Quinn Snyder looks like the protagonist of a sci-fi film about a mad scientist who thinks he's creating a new life form to help advance the human race, only to later realize horrible things happen when you attempt to play God.
Hated it.
The long ones are always tough.
Must have been McKay's.
Very.
He's a mad scientist, though. We can all agree he looks like a mad scientist. If we were to rank like what he looks like most, I think mad scientist is it.
A Revlon salesperson.
Number 3.
Really?
Quinn Snyder looks like your neighbor whose work-life balance is so shot that he hastily mows the lawn each week in his 3-piece suit and waves to you, yelling, "Living the dream, Mark," as he closes the garage and heads back into the house.
Wait a minute, brother. David doesn't say he look like a Revlon salesman.
Number 2. Quinn Snyder looks like a literary professor at a small college who sleeps with a different female freshman every semester.
That tracks.
Aggressive.
Yeah, that's right.
Allegedly.
That's right.
Rough.
Mm.
He's one rougher.
Number 1. Quinn Snyder looks like he has the antidote to the poison he just tricked you into drinking, but first you're going to tell him exactly what he needs to know.
That one's for sure.
Yeah.
Good number 1.
Bring it home, Roy.
Yeah.
That
was fun.
Is that it?
I'm hearing reports that the R. Kelly thing may have been an AI photo.
Oh,
I
guys.
Googled it and I can't find anything
Jess,
about
thank
it.
Was that
you.
from an unverified blue Twitter account?
Yeah,
A non-check
unsure.
account, Billy?
I googled R. Kelly prison and the first stories from 22
Put
hours
prison
ago.
concert.
And it says he was transferred to federal prison in North Carolina.
Juju
I'm
told
gonna
me
keep
he's never steered me
investigating.
wrong.
Yeah, let's stay on
I got
this.
fooled by AI showing me the Pope
The
in an
Pope.
Aritzia puffer a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, which I
Puffer
thought,
coat
as
Pope.
I quote tweeted it, this is probably fake, but I don't care. It's funny. And then it ended up being fake.
A lot of P's today. Puffer Pope, pickpocket-proof shorts.
Pablo.
Pablo.
Do you regret quote tweeting things that aren't
Pips.
real?
I try not to do it because this is something that we make fun of Dan for doing all the time, so I have to stay true to myself.
shark
But
on the
that
interstate.
honestly is probably the only time I've ever done it. Was the Pope in a puffer.
You weren't here. We were talking about Twitter Blue before. Are you upset that there's no more blue checks because it makes it hard for
No.
you to know who to quote tweet and who not to?
From a
Yeah.
standpoint of using the app, it has made it more difficult to figure out who is a real Twitter account and who's a fake Twitter account. But from a standpoint of I don't have my blue check, I couldn't care less. You
I
can
meant the
still
former.
use the app. It doesn't matter.
We're never leaving Twitter, guys.
I have cut back Twitter significantly in the last 3 or 4 weeks. have to pat myself on the back
What
for
have you
that
filled
one.
it with though?
TikTok, obviously.
Oh, okay. So now you're like 10x on TikTok.
Yeah, like I'm not using social media, but when I go on TikTok, most of my algorithm is like funny cat videos or like funny pet videos. Like I get a lot of cats bopping dogs on the nose. Like my user experience is so much higher than when I go on Twitter and I read like the most depressing thing I've ever seen in my life and then read like 3 replies to it from like the strangest people on earth. And then I'm immediately like, why did I do this?
What is the app that you guys use that you are most afraid of someone seeing the For You page on? We played this game on Instagram. A lot of butts. I mean, a lot of bikinis. We've just played a bit of it with Amazon purchases. But on the apps that you guys use.
Sorry, what?
On the apps that you guys use, what are you most horrified for people to find out? That you're getting served because of your behaviors on that app?
For me, it is TikTok, because it knows when I watch a video to completion, and it knows when I do not.
Whoa.
So
Phrasing.
therefore, gentlemen, please. I'm talking about not flipping left
We
or
got
right
you.
or straight, for Christ's sake.
We're children.
And
Sorry.
so my
No, when he's trying to make a dirty joke, no one thinks it's funny, and then when he accidentally says something that we all think is funny, he gets mad that we're laughing.
it makes it hard, doesn't it?
Oh.
So the TikTok,
this is exactly what she was
the
talking
TikTok
about.
algorithm is this, Pablo. It is a lot of video of people doing things that I want to do that I don't do. That's what I watch a lot on TikTok.
Wait. Say that again?
I like watching video of the people, before I knew that it was green screen, who do these crazy things with CDs into a CD
Oh, like people
holder.
throwing playing cards
or-
at watermelons.
Yes.
How much of
That's not real.
I thought every bit of it was real, including all the shots of the people who jump. They skateboard, and then they
The
jump
Dude Perfect guys?
onto a ledge, and then they fall into water. Am I the only one who sees
Oh, you're
these?
talking about like
Yeah.
fails. You like watching fails.
No,
like people.
no, it's amazing people
You
who
ran the
jump from
Marlins.
one thing to another.
It's like transitions.
Yes.
I know what you mean.
And are those not real?
I don't know if they're real or not. The
came
transitions
out-
are cool,
It
but
came out that the Dude Perfect people was using fake stuff. Did
Really?
you see that?
Wait,
That's a
what?
I
betrayal.
couldn't tell
Was
if
that AI?
Was that a
Take
fake
their
story
building
about a
away
fake
from them.
story?
Because sometimes they do those videos where it's like they show a basket being made and then they show like the green screen of the ball. But I thought that's
That's
fake too.
fake.
Like I don't know what's real anymore with the internet.
By the way, that is something that is worrisome about artificial intelligence in general at this point. I don't know if you guys have also had this sink in.
Maybe that's what we should call this room.
When I'm watching Puffer Pope or Pleather R. Kelly or Dude Perfect green screen stuff, I'm realizing that I will never, ever have confidence again as to whether something is actually made by a human being.
You know what makes me kind of like, what tips me off that this was not real is like when it's something so incredible and there's absolutely no reaction. Like the person's just too cool to celebrate this almost impossible thing that if they'd been doing this for like 4 straight hours, once you get it done, you'd either like be so ecstatic or just have
You should
such
look like Jimmy
relief.
Butler. You should look like Jimmy
you'd-
Butler at
you'd
the end of
have
that Heat game.
such relief that you got it done. But like you just do it and then you like turn your back and like you give like a look to the camera. It's like, get the F out of here with that. Like there's no way you're that cool when you've been trying to do this stupid thing for so long.
The ones I see, the reactions are huge when they do it.
Yeah, that's
Like,
how
they're
that's
screaming.
Billy
and
Gill
jumping
is
up and
not
down.
the guy walking away from the explosion, looking into the camera and winking.
Never. How much of these, by the way, how much of this do you think like is we're like our minds are like moldable clay and these aren't actually like geared towards us? It's like this is what you should be watching. You know what? And then it becomes the algorithm because this was like
Billy.
insisted on me. Like you told me this is what I should watch, so this is what I'm watching.
This is the TikTok conundrum that Congress is grappling with. They are
If they're
Of the
showing
belief-
if they're showing it to you, you've watched it.
Well, no,
I'm
no,
telling
no,
you,
no,
if
no.
it keeps showing up, it's because you've watched
but
it.
the idea is, Billy's theory is one currently echoed by the U.S. government. The theory is that the Chinese government, which owns and operates TikTok in some actual form or fashion, they're putting their thumb on the scale of the algorithm so that it's not simply the honest formula spitting out what you
They can
have
steer
told
you
them.
towards something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It
But we
steers
still
you
have to watch
towards
it.
Things
So-
that
But
criticize
you can
America.
still scroll past it, and like
This-
I get what you're saying, and I feel like there's maybe some truth to it. I'm not really sure, but I'm watching this moral panic over TikTok unfold, and then in the meantime, like watching this guy leak Pentagon secrets on a Discord channel, and I'm like, okay, what? Like, there is just such a massive gulf between what our elected officials understand about technology and what technology companies are able to do that I'm like, I don't know. I'm completely lost in all of this.
But do you go to TikTok or wherever saying like, I want, because like, let's say your algorithm, right? Like we were talking there, there's like butts or whatever, right? Like, do you go
Bikinis.
like, I need to go look at bikinis right now. When you go to TikTok, you're like, I have 10 minutes. I just want mindless crap. I will watch anything that's on there. Like you'll scroll past it, but like a lot of times I don't go into any of this with an agenda. It's like, I can watch anything. And it's just whatever's been kind of served up for me is what I end up watching.
Yeah, but some things you watch twice, and some things you're like, oh, I've seen this. Scroll. Like, there's definitely a timing to it. Like, if I watch something twice, I'm gonna see something similar to that, like 3 scrolls down. It's pretty on
Everyone
point. It's
has
scary.
an idea of like when you're loading up the app, what you expect you're going to see, and if you like what that is, you'll use it more, right? Like if I'm bored, I say I have 15 minutes, I'm waiting for something, like waiting for a muffin that I'm baking. I'm like, I don't have time to watch a show. Like I'm just gonna go on my phone and go on TikTok because I expect to watch something that I'll like. I expect to see baking videos, dogs, people ranting about like how much they hate,
America.
Cart narcs.
Fascism, and then I'll be like, okay, like I'm off. But if TikTok served me things that I didn't like, I wouldn't then use that time to go on that app.
But do you go through and like
Unlike
'cause,
Twitter.
like you can go and mark like I don't like this, what? But it's
has
like
to be really
extra
bad.
steps. Like you
I
just go
never
and
do
kind of
that.
do
Any of that
anything.
with-
The extra step is so
What
beyond
part
me.
of me, like what have I done in my life or my social media habits that has alerted like TikTok or Instagram or whatever that I want to see the two magicians that just hold up the like cape and then they step like a foot to the side while they're zoomed in on, and then a building disappears because they're always there, and I don't know
Mine
what
is
I've
the
told
person.
them.
Mine are the cape with the person.
It might be because someone that you spend a lot of time with likes them too. I've noticed that. Like me and my friends, like we'll send each other the same TikToks without realizing because we're being fed similar stuff. And part of it's because we have similar interests. But I think like if someone that you're friends with engages with something a lot, and then your phones know through like Wi-Fi networks or how much you share things with them that you're friends with them, they'll then feed you similar stuff too.
Are these the people you track? Same
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
I
same
didn't know
people.
I didn't know I love confrontation this much.
Yeah, my
That's all I
wife-
see is fights.
My wife loves
What?
butts.
So what I was saying at the end of that segment is my algorithm with TikTok is confrontation. I didn't realize I like confrontation. I'm very non-confrontational. So
You
it's
couldn't even say the word confrontation without
it's-
feeling like
it's-
a little nervous
It's
about
interesting that I must watch them because I get them a lot. It's like, it's somebody videotaping a lady getting out of her car and going to yell at another lady. I just am into public feuds and people fighting on golf courses. Two guys, hey, why are you driving it up? And then all of a sudden 2 guys are fighting. Like I get a lot of that stuff. And no one else gets this stuff. You
I've
guys
never
don't?
gotten that ever in my life.
I don't know.
I get served on Twitter a lot of fight videos, like fights happening in schools, fights happening in random hallways, gas stations, all of that. All of which reminds me of what we have been talking about in the hallway of this studio for days now. Because we've been talking about this Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia fight, but specifically the one aspect of that fight that has led Tony to wonder whether a liver shot is actually that bad.
Not that it's that bad. I just want to see what it feels like because it put Ryan Garcia on his ass, right? Because I want to experience things. I don't know. Like, what do you want me to tell you?
But we should explain what this is and why it's absurd that Tony is even
Yes,
vaguely
it absolutely
curious
is
about this.
absurd.
It's
But hold
Tony
on.
thinks he's better than everyone
That's
at
not
everything,
true.
including getting punched in the
That's
liver.
not true whatsoever. That's not true.
The liver that got punched, though, which belonged to Ryan Garcia, who's kind of this like matinee idol level, handsome like boxer, who had people accuse him, David, of throwing the fight because the way a liver shot works, the way a body shot works in boxing, if you really hit the liver, like right behind the rib, like wherever, I only know about where the liver is because of boxing, incidentally. But the point is, he got hit to the
But like
body.
you kind of know where it is from not boxing. Like you can narrow it down, no?
Veggie Tales, I didn't get that. in
But like
school,
you
so
know
I
the
have no
liver's
idea.
not like in one of your legs.
I'm going lower half.
Yeah, but like,
It's like right
Lower half
here
of
in
your
your
abdomen.
torso
you
somewhere.
could kind
I don't
of
know
guess
where,
though.
But like you're not really poking your own liver. Like you're not touching your liver.
Let's all poke our liver.
Okay. This is
It's
good
here,
audio.
like right here.
How's this?
So,
Yeah,
like,
I think I got it.
It's sort of the thing that the
the other
rib
side.
is supposed to protect, right? Like it's back there somewhere. And the point is that Ryan Garcia, in his his beautiful face. You watched it. You watched it happen, but on a delay. There was a nervous system lag. Gets hit in the liver, stands up, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then he's on a knee. And he's out. And it looks like he threw the fight because if you have not been familiar with what the liver is as this big red button that can force you to implode, it looked like it was fake.
And you want me to tell you that it wasn't or it was?
I'm saying
it wasn't fixed. If you look at it.
I'm saying it was absolutely not fixed.
If you get punched in the liver, you're done.
Yes.
You could die.
I agree.
So they have to end it. He has to end it. He knows.
Well, here's the thing. He takes that punch, right? Here's the thing.
All right.
He throws a left hook. Tank slips it, hits him with a left right in the liver, right? Tank is drawn to Davis. Thank you for paying attention. So the first step that Ryan Garcia takes back, his right leg kind of like wiggles, and you're like, oh, wait a second, something happened here. He takes one more step, then takes the knee. But the problem is when you hit that liver, it's a delayed reaction, right? You don't feel it. It's like getting hit in the junk if you're a guy. You get hit and you're like, oh my God, did I just get hit there? And then like 30 seconds later, you're like dead, right? Like that's the point.
For me, it's like 3 seconds later.
At most.
Okay.
30 is.
30 seconds later, you're dead.
That's a real like Brontosaurus level of like, yeah. Whoa, the
Oh,
synapse traveling.
dead.
Bing, and
I'd rather, by the way, get a full blown hit there sometimes than
Hold on, where?
just like the graze.
Oh.
Because the graze sometimes will hurt just as much. And
I'll
it'll
take
be
a
like,
graze any day.
No,
The
the
glancing
graze
blow.
If you get a graze in the right spot, it's like when you stub your toe, and then it's like, oh my God, and you're like almost paralyzed. I'd rather just, if I'm gonna be in that pain, just give me a full blown hit.
So for the record, we have Tony wanting to know what a liver shot feels like, and we have Billy saying that just hit me in the nuts.
No,
straight
if
on.
I'm
Gigi, what do you
going
wanna
to
feel?
get hit,
Don't graze him in the right spot. The graze spot.
Zagak.
The G spot.
Mas Miami, next one. Line up. Greg Cody toenail. Punch Tony, and punch Billy.
no.
Sign up now.
So the whole point of why I wanted to do that is because I've been obviously really into combat sports the last couple of years. And shout out to the MMA Hang. I watched that May 8th, I want to say, UFC 288. But I don't remember exactly when it is, Billy. Sorry. If you want to pull
promo.
up the calendar, that'd be great.
Good promo.
So I've been kind of like
May 6th.
May 6th. Okay, May 6th, 10 o'clock, LeBatard Show, YouTube. So I've been interested in like getting into combat sports somehow, but I don't really want to do boxing, but I also don't want to do like full combat MMA. So I've been thinking of doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm like, that's my Instagram algorithm is all BJJ.
Is that what Tua did?
He did more of like
He did
judo.
judo, yeah, to learn to
judo.
fall.
Oh, I read jiu-jitsu. Are you sure it's not jiu-jitsu?
There was confusion.
Jiu-jitsu.
There was a time-
different from juju.
Juju.
Yeah.
There was confusion on that where Tua didn't even know what he was doing at one point, where he had
That's
said something
worrisome.
and then his trainer came out
Said
and was like,
something
no,
else.
he's doing this.
Yeah.
Basically, he taught himself how to fall, thinking that
He's
that would
trying
protect
to.
his brain.
Yeah, he's trying to.
So preposterous.
No,
it's
but
like
this is a
protecting
thing.
yourself.
But this
it's
is
not a thing.
Joel Embiid has long said that he has been trained to fall by doctors. Doctors believe that this is how you minimize the impact on your body. Is you actually like an acrobat, a tumbler, you know how to fall.
Does he have a sprained knee now or no?
He has some sort of leg issue. Yeah,
Guess he
it's
didn't
a
learn very
problem.
well.
It's a problem.
Long story short is that I'm intrigued by BJJ. I want to start doing some sort of combat sports. I think that's my angle.
I don't think we
into
can
it.
call it that.
BJJ.
It just seems like a very strange.
So you want me to call
All
it
right.
Brazilian
I
Jiu-Jitsu?
think we can.
How so?
Don't even do the.
So Tony,
Just
I
for
was
the
at a
sake of
wedding.
follow-up on
I was
this.
at a wedding with someone like a few weeks ago who's really into that, and they were saying that they want to move to Miami to do it because it's huge down here apparently. And he was showing me videos of himself doing this on his phone, and I could not tell what was going on. But
Did
it
he have
looked.
the gi on or no gi?
Pardon?
The
The
kimono.
robe, yeah.
No, no,
The uniform.
No gi. Okay.
no gi.
I want Tony to start showing up in Mission Control wearing a gi.
I'm intrigued by the fact. You know what? Maybe this month in May, I might start taking some BJJ classes, and then I might come in a gi.
Have you ever seen a commercial for one or an ad where you can buy
Yes.
one on your social media?
I get them now because I'm getting fed the
so
algorithm
awesome.
of like, hey, I'm watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm like, huh. I
So
feel
you
like I
could
can
buy
do
one
this.
and have it
But
for next week.
That's stolen valor, though. You got to earn the gi. You can't just buy it off
Well, no,
Amazon and
he
walk
means
around.
buying like a class where I go to a dojo and I like do it there.
I think that that's exactly how it's supposed to work. It's like buying skiing clothes before you go skiing.
No,
even if you don't know how to ski.
no.
Oh, you're saying that I'm getting
no.
fed kimonos like geese
You
online.
don't. He's
No,
saying,
I'm not.
yeah. Pablo's saying, like, I one time had this fascination where I thought, you know what, scrubs look really comfortable. I'm just gonna buy scrubs and walk around in scrubs. And I even went to a scrub store, and then I was like, but I'm not a doctor, and if there's a medical emergency, people will turn to me, so I can't do that.
So you just wanted a uniform of
Billy,
some sort?
Billy,
Shout out to Bill Lawrence.
Billy, as someone who grew up as the son of 2 doctors, I'm here to tell you, as someone whose pajamas for his entire life were actually scrubs, that your head's in the right place, man. So comfortable. So comfortable.
It's incredible.
It's like Byron's
the
pants.
scrubs and like the idea, like this is a doctor that I'm going to. This is a person who could potentially save my life from some sort of horrible disease or whatever. And they're basically in pajamas and Crocs. Yeah. This is the uniform of this person.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Like, you don't want the person performing brain surgery on you to be like, this belt is too tight. This is so uncomfortable.
You want an astronaut helmet. You want it to feel really, really technologically advanced.
Is there an age, because you want to start BJJ as you put it.
Correct.
Is there an age that you're like too old to do stuff like that? Because
No,
like,
never.
If I were to see an adult karate class, like I've thought about it, but it's also like, do I want exactly like at what age do I think, you know what, like yellow belt is as far as I'm going to get, and do I want
It's
to be
like
a
ski
40-year-old?
school. You don't often go to ski school and see adults in ski school.
You're never
right?
too
you
old to
mostly see
learn.
kids.
Exactly.
I can't swim. I will be a fool not to learn how to swim at this age before I have kids. You're never too old. Don't be ashamed. The haters, they're always rooting for your failure.
We're
Back to
sponsored
you,
by him though,
Pablo.
so the good part is there's no time frame of like, yeah, younger is better, but there's a bunch of people in their 30s that have started to now get into like combat sports that have joined jiu-jitsu.
I like all of you guys sort of adding a skill. Like Juju's going to learn to swim. Tony's going to learn how to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
I want to take up painting.
Like Bob Ross.
No, like, because everyone, I've heard like
George W. Bush
like
does it now.
houses?
I-
What are we
No.
painting?
Trust, I'll never
Clouds?
paint a house again. Howard Stern is a big painter. Like he just like paints watercolors
By
and stuff.
numbers?
No, like watercolors and stuff.
No, paint by numbers. You ever seen what that is? Paint by numbers?
No.
So
5
paint
is
by,
pink.
You've never heard of paint by
it's,
numbers?
It's painting for dummies. Like you could do
It
that.
just tells you what to do.
That tells you what to do, and all of a sudden
Wow.
you've got this amazing piece of art that you can say you did. You're basically
amazing,
it's
though.
painting appropriation.
There's those
It's
like
stolen valor.
Painting
All of this,
appropriation.
the buying of a gi before you walk into a dojo, the painting by numbers. This is stolen valor.
scrubs.
This is yes.
No,
the
that's the
scrubs.
fun part of a new hobby is like you get excited about it and you buy all the stuff and then maybe you follow through, maybe you don't. Maybe I don't know what to do with these 75 watercolor paintbrushes that I bought, but like it's exciting to be suddenly into something. Everyone did that during COVID, right? You picked something and you were like, I got gouache paint. I painted one single thing with the gouache paint.
What is gouache paint?
It's like an opaque watercolor. I never touched it
What does
again.
that
It was
mean
too
then?
When you
difficult
I went
to
to
use.
school with an
art,
Andrew
It can be
gouache.
a print. It can be a gouache. It can be an oil on canvas. It's a different medium. What
Everyone's
did you
done
do
it.
during COVID? So gouache.
Bet Australian
Well,
ponies.
actually baking was my main
I bought a
thing.
keyboard. I wanted to learn piano. That
How'd
was
that
my
go?
thing. It went 0.
But how excited were you to buy the
It
keyboard?
was the greatest thing
exactly.
ever. Like I
Provided
thought that I was
momentary
going to do
joy.
lessons online and I was going to be a piano player.
I also bought a keyboard, but I bought a mechanical keyboard to type. I wanted the thing that made loud noises, like the clacking sounds, like the keyboards from my youth. And I used it once, and my wife was like, I'm going to throw that into the garbage. It was so loud, and I never used it again.
During the pandemic, my hobby was drinking alcohol.
Very
What?
good.
So you went online and bought alcohol? That's pretty boring. You
I
didn't
mean-
try to do one extra thing.
I mean, if I wish I could have gotten into hockey really because the
Yeah,
Panthers have
places to be. Like
yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
have this learn to play program for the Florida Panthers. I wish I could have gotten into, but it's expensive. You
Mm.
get to
Maybe
keep
the next
equipment, though.
pandemic.
I feel like playing hockey, there's an age
Fingers
limit.
crossed,
Like you
right.
can't be 30-something and starting
Oh,
to play
no,
hockey.
that's not
that's not
necessarily
true.
true.
There's
Plus-
so many adult
well,
hockey leagues
plus-
in this country.
in South Florida, Miami.
We all
Okay, there's 7,000 dojos here. You're talking about an ice skating rink. There's 2.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Are there
6, actually.
7,000 dojos
We
here?
actually all played hockey. Like, Panthers invited us out a few years ago to put on all the pads and do a hockey clinic. And Roy probably should, don't pick up hockey.
Whoa, what happened there, Mr. Bob Ross?
Whoa.
Why
That
exactly
is
are you
not a happy little secret.
I'm just.
First of all, there's video proof of that.
Hello.
Second of all, so you really have to.
it would
bring that up.
support Chris's cause, though.
I don't like
talk
this.
privately into Chris's ear. Is that the top?
This is
left
very
one?
good radio.
Bottom right.
Billy, what did you get into over the pandemic?
I think I walked a lot. I did a lot of walking.
Love walking.
I went for I
Love a
honestly lost a lot of I was in really good shape.
Talking about a hobby.
It was a hobby.
Walking
can be a
Walking's
hobby.
not a hobby.
Walking's
It
not a
certainly
hobby.
can be.
Walking's not a hobby.
course it
Started
I'm
ex-
going to take up walking. That's
You could
what
say
happens if you
you
get a
run
heart attack.
You could say
Marathons.
you started exercising, but like
That's
walking,
not a hobby either. That's
mean,
to
if
try to stay
exercising
healthy
Jiu-jitsu
and
is
not
a hobby.
Yes.
Walking
No,
is a hobby.
Absolutely not.
Well, no, like I did baking and stuff. I feel like the
That's a
popular
hobby.
ones.
That's a hobby.
The popular ones were like baking, yoga, and learning an instrument. I think were like the popular ones during the pandemic. And so much so that I think and we've talked about it ad nauseum here, so we don't need to get into it. But like the weights, you couldn't find weights, you couldn't find dumbbells because they were getting sold out because everyone decided they were going to come out of it super fit.
what interests me more about this is the fact that we all do things where we are all excited to start with. And then the rate at which people drop off the excitement is directly correlated to their level of success.
I bought a PlayStation 3, whichever one is coming out now.
5
I
is
bought-
out now.
Okay, I bought a PlayStation 4, I think.
Yeah.
And I got Dead Red Redemption.
Oh, I love that
I
game.
was on the farm. I was on the frontier. You couldn't tell me during the pandemic. I was just riding a horse,
Dude,
baby.
my favorite sort of game is the open world game, like Red Dead Redemption, like Grand Theft Auto, already mentioned on this show. I love them because I just go and screw around and choose my own adventure. I don't do any of the missions.
Never.
If you're to look at my progress in a game, I never get past the first thing. I'm always just entertaining myself and or murdering people.
Can I talk about your vice in that game? I think it's either your vice or Amin's vice. And the only thing I know about this game
yeah.
is what one of the two of you would do.
I mean,
Punching
mean?
horses?
Yeah, so you just go
was
around
me.
punching horses in the game.
Yep.
Shame on you.
Do you want to do that in real life?
Like blazing saddles.
Liver shot.
I mean, I
It's
know
because
that.
he knows he couldn't ever do it in real life. So
Exactly.
it's like, let me just see what it's like.
Exactly.
Well, do they
What was
run?
it
What do they
like?
do?
Yeah, what was it
Did
Why
you
is
ever
that even an
stun
option
one?
on the game?
I realized it accidentally that they let you punch the horse. It's really their fault. Like, you're building this, you're programming this into
Putting
the game.
you on a watch list.
I mean,
Did the
on
horse
paper, it
fall?
sounds bad that this guy goes around and doesn't play the game and just punches horses.
Do you get points for it?
No.
Did the horse fall?
Yes.
You know what I
Then they
die
programmed it
after a
into the
certain
game?
What a
number?
shot, though.
There are lots of things get
Great
pro-
right hand.
Video games that let you do things that they were never designed to are like the best. Like I remember, I think it was like GTA. I don't know if it was Vice City or one of them, where you could somehow steal a helicopter,
Yeah.
right? And then I would always steal. Sometimes I would just do like free play where I'd put in the cheat code that I ended up with a helicopter. So a helicopter would just spawn into the middle of like Collins Avenue.
On the
or
middle of a
whatever, right?
roof.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be like on
No.
top of a roof. I'll put the code in.
I did
Helicopter
the
right on roof.
opposite. I'd get a helicopter, then I'd try to fly to buildings and see like what I would then bail on the helicopter in the middle, like you jump out of a moving car and see like where I can go and land and survive from a helicopter because I already beat the game. So I just kind of crash the helicopter thing into things and jump out at the last minute to see if I could survive. That's how I lived.
This should put us all on a watch list now that I hear you say that.
Well, I could never fly a real helicopter.
That's
Right.
not why you'd be on the watch list.
Right.
It wasn't the
Just
flying of the
the
helicopter
crashing.
part. Just so we know, it was the crashing of the helicopter and
Do you
jumping
think
out.
it's, speaking of which, by the way, do you think it's awkward that Aaron Rodgers had reportedly told players that he's played with before that he thinks that jet fuel can't melt steel beams now that he's in New York? Is that going to be awkward for him? That he's like a preeminent 9/11 conspiracy theorist?
I think what I'm most excited about is that he is going to mentor Zach Wilson. That excites me.
Oh, sure.
Nice pivot.
Because
Zach Wilson looks like
he's despondent.
he's like a person wearing a gi in like a karate class for kids.
Zach Wilson's despondent, no matter what his GM says or what his coach says about how excited Zach is to have Aaron Rodgers there. Despondent, and you can't hide it. When you bring in someone to be your number one, and then the person who's number one goes down to number two, they're not happy.
Zach Wilson.
They're spinning it so
Is
badly in New York.
anybody in favor? I mean, what's surprising to me is that there is a person even riding for Zach Wilson, and you're telling me that this person is the GM of the team.
He took, during the press conference defending the trade yesterday, Joe Douglas actually took the time to tell us how great Aaron Rodgers will be for Zach Wilson. And it was so disingenuous because Aaron Rodgers is not great for anybody. He's great for himself and for the Alfonseca or whatever it is that he does or smokes or the cave or whatever.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
You drink it too.
You made it
You drink
into
it?
Antonio Alfonso.
So he's heard
It's
Al
spelunking.
Pumpo.
That is spelunking.
The point remains the same. He is not going to mentor Zach Wilson. and why Joe Douglas went out of his way to make it as though he were going to really pissed me off.
I think it is very funny that Aaron Rodgers has become Brett Favre.
He's followed him at lockstep.
He is now conservative adjacent / hero to the right. He is somebody who absolutely feuded with his backup, Jordan Love, in the way that Brett Favre did with him. He is now somebody who went to the Jets in the later part of his career to chase something resembling glory. All we're missing is the inevitable
Stealing from the welfare?
Stealing from
That's coming.
from
That's next.
the poorest state in the union.
Just don't know what state he's
allegedly.
from, do you? What state will Aaron Rodgers steal from? Because Favre, we knew would be
He's
Mississippi.
from California.
California.
Hot take: the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Rodgers, whoever the hell they got, they will not make the playoffs this year. Mark it.
Wow.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills that you talking about, and the Miami Dolphins, #1.
You just said 2 teams there.
It's a tie.
Can't both be number one.
Juju, the bandwagon guy, he does not succumb to those.
The Jets got a 40-year-old quarterback who has zero chance of getting them to the Super Bowl, zero chance of helping them get to the playoffs, and they did it purposefully.
I want that candy.
So I guess we should start with a little sports update, which is to say that yesterday we mused about whether Kawhi Leonard was missing games because he is hurt or because his sister, again, has life in prison for murdering an elderly person. Shams Charania tweets, Kawhi Leonard has been diagnosed with a torn meniscus in his right knee. Averaged 35 points in the first 2 games of the postseason against the Suns before the meniscus injury was revealed and he got shut down by medical staff. So I guess that mystery's solved.
Larry Bird would have played through that torn meniscus, though.
I mean,
Just ask Mad Dog.
he probably would have.
But the idea that people are going to go to these games and these stars are missing and Kawhi Leonard is not there anymore, and the question of, like, this is, again, regular season versus postseason. What does load management do? What are we really getting mad at? We're fundamentally, David, getting mad at the idea that we paid for something as fans and we didn't get what we were promised.
That's something that we're not promising you when you buy a ticket. Let's be clear. We're going to promise you a memory, not a result. And we're going to promise you a game within the confines of the rules, not the players of the game. Just like anything in life, you only get what is promised, nothing more, nothing less. And if you get more, you ought to pay for it. If you get less, ought you to pay less. In my mind, it's a decision that you make before you engage. When you buy a playoff ticket, right now you're going to Game 5 in Milwaukee tonight. Did you think for 1 minute it would be an elimination game for the Bucks when you bought this ticket? Hell no. You thought it would be an elimination game for the Heat, and you were buying that ticket. Now that it's not, do I get any money back? If the Bucks lose tonight,
But it's just as big of a game when you're up against elimination. Like, it would have the same value, no?
what? No, a clinching game versus your season doesn't end game. Clinching games are way
Clinching
better.
a round? I get it if it was
It's
like
a
the
clinch.
title.
Is a clinch. Is a clinch.
Okay.
My question
clinch.
is: are you in agreement for your sponsors? Does DraftKings call up and say, you know what, this show was bad. We're gonna take $1 or a quid or whatever off the value of the deal? Are you worried when you're doing the show that could happen?
No.
Are
No,
you
I'm not.
when you do a great show? Do you think that they ought to pay more, or do they pay
Yes.
and we deliver?
Yes, I do actually believe
I like
that we
that
should get
one.
performance bonuses based on.
Can we get that written in? Thank you.
Anybody who's out there?
So in across the pond in Tottenham, I don't know if you read, they did something that is beyond comprehension. They went to a game in Newcastle. They lost. They sacked their coach. Whatever the story is, it doesn't matter. The players stepped up purportedly and said, we're refunding everybody's tickets who went to this road game. We played so badly, we're going to give you your money back, and I have not slept since, worrying about people actually thinking that they deserve money back when the performance of their team is not
Wait,
sufficient.
that kept you up at night?
It's just one of the 50 things, but
You were kept up at night because these players recognized what I was referring to. This actual emotional dissatisfaction, this feeling like you are being let down as a actual person paying money to attend these games.
I'm playing a violin.
And you're saying that you lost sleep because players decided to say, you know what, we recognize that we're going to pay out of our own pockets to these fans because we know that we actually let them down.
Would you be willing, Juju, question right now, Heat game, would you have paid an extra $10 out the door because you saw Jimmy Butler score 56?
Absolutely.
Would you have wanted $10 back if the Heat had not won?
No, sir. No, sir.
So you're willing to pay for upside surprise and recognize the downside is part of the bargain.
Yes, sir.
We are
kindred spirits.
You guys are aligned in ways that have startled me today.
New podcast coming soon.
But why? But the idea that what if there's a world in which performance bonuses are worked in? What if there's a world in which you are actually paying for the thing that you get in a way that actually is worth the money to you, David?
It's my dream. My dream is to pay players 1 year at a time for what they do, not what they've done or what they could do. It's the dream, right? Make everyone a free agent
union's
every year.
nightmare. Management's dream.
Why is it a union's nightmare? Because you want the protection to get paid your amount of money whether you do the job well or not. That's what tenure, by the way, that's what tenure is, and I love teachers. Love them, but that's the definition of tenure. It's job protection.
But it's also the idea that a world in which you are living truly like game to game for your financial compensation is a world in which maybe the incentives corrupt and distort how you actually perform best at your job.
But that's up to management to figure out how to get you to do your job the best.
But defining unions as being existing so that people get paid even if they do a job is...
That's not solely what they are. And you can paint me that way all you want, but that is not...
Said.
I have great respect for the players' union. I have great respect for the reason unions started, which was actually not having to do with protecting millionaires. But all of that said, I understand what a union's job is. They will not... We offered free agency every year. You don't have to wait 6 years. You can be a free agent immediately. You're Julio Rodriguez. You are a free agent.
Of course, David, there are complications. Because
why did they turn it down?
Because they were concerned about injuries, right? Like what happens if, for reasons...
That's not right. That's not right.
You're telling me that a union is not concerned about what happens when in a free agency always world you get injured?
No. They were concerned that the money that goes to older players would disappear and it would all go to younger players.
So look, inside of a union, of course, there is always going to be a conflict of incentives. I have been talking about incentives all show now. The conflict of incentives is, of course, if you are the better player, you want to have the benefits that accrue to, let's take away the max contract, right? Let's take away the caps on spending that will mostly benefit me if they are removed, as opposed to hurting the middle to lower class, right? Of course, every union is a mix of people who have very different incentives. But I think what we're talking about here, to bring it back to the start of this, is what happens in sports if we live in a world in which the money is attached to what actually is delivered to the fan.
You can't. It's like going to a movie and not liking the movie and wanting your money back at the end of the movie.
But did any fans demand a refund, or did the players do this as a gesture of like a PR stunt / goodwill? Because
it was the former.
If it's the former, then like, okay, cool. Who cares? If they're volunteering to give money back, do we think this is going to be a worldwide phenomenon now that every player is going to give up their own income to fans that are disappointed by a game? Or is this a one-time PR stunt because they want the fans on their side after a management change where some of them might end up on different teams or what have you?
Here's the problem. I don't think it's coming from the players, actually. I think the players put the ownership in a position. What mechanism do players have to actually refund a fan? Do you like Venmo? Do you do a Venmo request of the goalie?
I don't know. I imagine that there depends where you bought the tickets from.
Right, so it's just the match tickets. And so what they're going to end up having to do just logistically, it's like when
So you're mad on ownership's behalf that players said that they would do this, and now the ownership has to foot the bill for it?
You're mad that potentially the players were told to do this by owners, because what you're actually worried about is not players losing their money because they are trying to make fans feel better. You're worried that there's a precedent being set in which the organization itself is on the hook. You're not
mad
at
the worried about the players?
I'm just clarifying.
Or the owners? I'm not worried about either.
Jess is appropriately nuancing the problem here. It's not that the players are paying for it. It's that you believe that the that the team itself is eventually going to be on the hook.
And then more
it's a-
teams will have to be on the
that's
hook
the
for
issue.
it. And
That's
like
the
if
issue.
David, were the president of the Marlins still, he would have to refund all the Marlins fans who go to games and end up being disappointed, which is a
right.
lot of Marlins fans.
No, but it's any game. What about the Yankees who lost to the Twins yesterday? What about the Heat if the Heat lose to the Bucks?
I don't see this catching
crazy
on, to
to
be
me.
honest.
But
But the world, David, right? Like we just talked about it. A world in which you have to pay more if you watch Jimmy Butler have the greatest game of his career. And a world in which you get to, you get some money out of your pocket, or you get some money back in your pocket if the game was bad.
I love that world. That world involves drink coupons now, or 10,000 free miles in your account. When you complain, like on an airline or something, or complain at a hotel, they give you a drink coupon. So it exists already, but what interests me is how far can it go? And when you're going into actual monetary refunds, the reason you don't see it is because it's so disruptive to budgets. It's so disruptive to the economics of that company that it can't work. And when players do things, and sometimes employees do this too, they don't recognize sort of on a macro scale what it means to a company to say something. Oh, just give them free hot dogs, as an example. It's not that easy.
Sports should give out a blowout clause. Like, okay, you pay for these courtside seats, and these folks got blew out by 30 points. Here's $20 and a little goddamn Chick-fil-A sandwich or something. Like, give me something that acknowledges this was a show.
The opposite of the Bojangles thing, where like if you go to like Clemson games and they score a certain amount of points, you get free fries or a sweet tea at Bojangles.
Ooh, a Bojo
That's all
Bojo.
promotion. So
Yeah.
baseball teams
So the
do that
opposite
with
of
hits.
that, though. If we score 0 points, everyone gets free sweet tea at Bojangles.
Those are good. You do sponsorships with like pizza companies or with candy companies where if there's 7 runs scored, then you get a
Marlins
free
5
Domino's
fed
pizza.
me many times.
Right. So that's a thing that's paid
Oh,
for.
people love the free food.
So the
No,
free-
David is just mad at the hypothetical possibility that management will have to invest more in fans for making a product, right?
Yes, except what if it's a good team that has a day or a season?
I don't anticipate this is going to happen in non-PR stunt scenarios. Right?
Remember, this was a road game. This was one section of
Oh,
supporters.
yes. It was only about 3,000
You're kind of
people.
acting like they gave the money back for everybody.
No. This is, sorry to be clear, they traveled to, it was the expenses of traveling to and buying the match ticket. They didn't get their plane ticket money back. They didn't get hot dog money back.
So
It
what,
was-
like 400 people
I think it was
tops?
3,000. But again, my point was a little different in this, is that what concerned me is that we are in a system where in life we expect certain things for our money. We expect certain things. When we don't get it, we don't expect to get money back. But when we get over-delivered, we're unwilling to pay more money. So if you're not willing to pay more money, then you can't be willing to have to pay less money.
In 2009, Oregon opened their season. This is when like Oregon was like always flirting with, are they going to play for the national championship? And Chip Kelly was their coach. They traveled to Boise State to open the season, and they lost. And fans were pissed at Oregon, and they were all saying they wanted their money back. One fan actually sent an invoice to Brian Kelly, who then sent him a check for $429.
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly did.
Oh, I love that.
Fine.
I hate that.
I love that.
But what if he accidentally sent it to Brian Kelly?
But Billy, I also feel like this is a world, in which we can introduce new coupons.
How do I'm just backtracking a second? Like, how would fans overpay for something that hasn't happened yet? Like, you can't promise a Jimmy Butler 56-point playoff game, so therefore, an
You
organization.
Venmo after.
Yeah,
I want to collect money on
I
the way
would
out
do
the
that.
door.
Got it.
I'll
And
get you
Pablo
tomorrow.
already said he would.
I am in on this. I will pay the premium retroactively if I also get the discount when I'm at a game that is over by the second quarter. Absolutely.
And that's a trade that no management will make. And it
You
makes
just said
sense.
before that's the world you want.
I want it, but it's not realistic. I want it now that I'm not in the chair. I never would have agreed to
I
it in the
see.
chair.
There are a lot of things I'm realizing that I was in favor of when I was not in the chair that I am actually feeling very different about now that I'm in this sweaty-ass chair.
Is it still sweaty from yesterday?
It's incredibly sweaty.
Swash chair.
Is it still hot in there?
No, it's way cooler today.
It's a sweaty
But I'm
ass
also not in a
chair.
blazer.
That's just what happened when Dan leaves. It just gets cooler.
Is it sweaty ass chair or is it sweaty ass chair? You know?
Zach.
Every
It's a
chair
sweaty
is an
ass chair.
Yeah.
Swass.
It's a sweaty ass chair.
Do you want some candy,
Give me
Cody?
that goddamn candy.